No nanny lasted more than a week. The millionaire's twins screamed, fought, and broke every rule. But when a quiet black maid stepped into their mansion, something happened that no one expected. What she carried wasn't just discipline. It was a story of sacrifice, love, and a strength that silence could not hide. The shouting echoed through marble halls. A crystal vase crashed to the floor, shards scattering like ice across the polished tiles. Two children, no older than 6, hurled their toys with defiance, daring anyone to stop them. Another nanny, red-faced and trembling, stormed toward the front doors with her suitcase. "I quit," she whispered, her voice shaking with exhaustion. For months, the mansion had chewed up caretakers and spat them out. But that night, under the glow of the street lamps, a woman stood outside the iron gates. Her hands were calloused, her coat worn thin, and her eyes carried both pain and peace. She was not young and not wealthy. She had no degree in childcare, no glittering references. Yet, when the housekeeper opened the door, the woman stepped inside with the quiet steadiness of someone who had already walked through storms far greater than screaming children. Her name was Grace. Grace had once worn a different uniform. Years before, she served as a combat medic, patching wounds beneath skies torn open by fire. She carried the weight of lost friends, their last breaths still whispering in her memory. When the war ended, she returned to a city that barely remembered her. Jobs were scarce, rent unforgiving. She became a maid, unseen and uncelebrated, cleaning other people's victories while her own sacrifices faded into silence. Yet Grace never complained. Her heart had been tempered by loss, but it beat with a gentleness the world could not erase. She smelled bleach and dust each day, but inside she carried the scent of wildflowers from home, the voices of comrades who once called her sister. She was scarred, but her scars were proof she had chosen others before herself. In the mansion, the twins saw another target. They shrieked, threw their blocks at her feet, demanded she leave like the others. Their father, a millionaire with no time for patience, watched coldly from his leather chair. "She won't last the night," he muttered. The butler remained silent. The housemaids exchanged weary glances. Everyone had seen this before, but Grace did not raise her voice. She did not beg them to listen. She simply knelt, lowering herself to the children's eye level, her silence sharper than any scolding. The twins froze, puzzled. For the first time, someone was not fighting their chaos. She waited, and in that waiting, the storm inside them began to lose its power. Days turned to weeks. Grace rose before dawn, steady as the ticking clock in the hall. She bandaged scraped knees, sat through tantrums, and endured insults that would have broken others. She told no one of the nightmares that sometimes woke her at night. Instead, she whispered stories, gentle tales of bravery, of friendship, of people who stood together even when the world was falling apart. Slowly, the children leaned in, listening. One evening, when fever struck the little boy, Grace stayed at his bedside without moving for hours. She remembered soldiers she had once held as they trembled. She remembered the vow she made, never to abandon those in pain. The boy, half conscious, clutched her hand and whispered, "Don't go." Grace did not move. In that moment, the war inside the children finally surrendered. The millionaire watched from the doorway. His children, once untamable, now rested peacefully in the arms of a woman who had carried burdens he could never imagine. He felt the sting of shame rise in his chest. For months, he had thrown money at a problem love alone could solve. "Silent strength is louder than any shout," Grace had once said to herself. And now, her silence filled the mansion more powerfully than any command. By the end of the year, the twins no longer fought every visitor. They held Grace's hands in public, their laughter echoing through spaces once filled with anger. Servants who had once mocked the idea of her lasting now stood in quiet respect each time she passed. The millionaire, humbled, offered her riches to stay. But Grace only smiled. "Children don't need perfect homes. she said softly. They need steady hearts. The house that once broke Nanny's now became a place of healing, because one woman chose patience over pride and sacrifice over comfort. Her story reminds us, true strength is not in what you demand. It is in what you endure. Silent dignity has the power to change hearts. And sometimes the greatest victories are the ones no one sees. So now, to you watching, where are you from? Do you believe silent strength still has the power to change the world? Share your thoughts below and subscribe for more stories that honor unseen heroes.